I just watched the video The Secret to Being Likable on YouTube with, by the channel Better Ideas. And Joey does an amazing job kind of breaking down what it means to be likable. And at the end he asks, who do you know that pops into your mind? And so I have a good friend that popped into my mind that has these really, really powerful traits of being likable. And I've known him for a long time, and I've analyzed and tried to understand and implement his these characteristics. And this video really captivated me because it's something that I've struggled with for such a long time, and it's not hard when you see it. You can appreciate it's not the hardest thing, but if most of us, the way we've been shaped throughout our lives is with certain habits that give us the opposite result, being not so likable, not so fun in a conversation. And so I'm going to share these qualities with you, and hopefully it brightens your day, it brightens your life. If you implement these, I think it can make a huge difference, and I'm working very hard to implement all of these qualities myself. Anyway, without further ado, so this friend of mine, he has a couple of really great characteristics that I feel define, or at least drastically increase, his level of likability. And so I'm going to break these down here. One of them is that he was always very giving. He was always, and this came in the form of compliments. I would constantly hear him complimenting people, whether he just first met them or he was already friends with them. He was always letting people know how cool he thought they were. And sometimes it would just be that, dude, you are so cool. Especially people who didn't feel that they were cool. Those people, he made an extra effort because he realized that they were insecure and uncomfortable with themselves. So he would acknowledge the fact that he thought they were cool. And when someone really cool tells you that they think you're cool, it's 10 times more potent than, if your mom says it or something, right? This person's actually cool. You might not be that cool. And then they tell you, dude, you're cool. You have no idea what you're talking about. And you're just like blown away. It's an amazing compliment. Imagine like a celebrity that you love tells you like, wow, you're so cool. Imagine how good that would feel. That would be a much higher degree, but, right? A handsome, good-looking guy, maybe someone that you find attractive, tells you, you're cool. That's a great compliment, right? Maybe it's not the best compliment, but it means a lot because it's coming genuinely. It's not fake. And it's also rare. People don't. How often does someone tell you that they think you're cool? Not that often. At least I'm guessing. I don't get it that often. Smiling, being positive. So, when delivering these things, when starting conversations, always very positive. Very good eye contact and energy, and just like going out of his way to let people know that he was interested in them, that he thought they were interesting, and that he was curious about them. And I think this came a lot from his upbringing. He did go through some really difficult times, and I think that brought upon, and that plus the way that he was raised brought upon this sense of humility within him. two more things within the giving frame. He wasn't afraid to like be touchy, be friendly. You know, he was cool with touching people in a of course in a like a comfortable manner, not like creepy. And just being funny, being goofy, not being afraid to crack a joke, not being afraid to laugh at himself. A lot of self-deprecating humor, calling himself a goof, a dummy, or something like that, and just like lowering expectations, making people smile. Just all good humor. You know, he might call you a goofball sometimes for something, and just like it was all, you could tell it was coming from a place of like kindness and friendliness and goofiness, and it was never like serious. And I feel like seriousness, just this, is something that is very unlikable unless it's like unnecessary seriousness, right? But most situations don't need seriousness. They need this lighthearted attitude, right? And so when you can bring that into the equation, lightheartedness, it definitely drops people's barriers, drops their guard, makes them feel more at ease, more comfortable, and they enjoy being around you. Next one was that being non-judgmental. He would never kind of be picky and choosy about who he spoke to. He would speak to young people, old people. He would just walk up and sit with someone randomly, and say something, you know, just open up a line. Hey, what's up? That was my favorite. He would just sit there, go to someone's table who was sitting alone. He'd just sit across the table from them and just kind of look at them. And they'd be a little confused. They'd look around and be like, hi? You know, he wasn't afraid of that tension. And then he would be like, what's up? And I always thought that was really courageous. I did not have especially even now, but especially at that time, that looked like a superpower. I was like, how does he just do that? It was like weird and funny, and it is funny when you look at it. You're just like, someone just sit across the table for you and you're just like, what's up? And then if nothing transpired, he wasn't afraid to just get up and walk away. He'd be like, cool, all right, see you around. Like that was the conversation sometimes. And then if something transpired, if he felt like there was some kind of connection or the other person engaged, then he would engage more, and like something would happen, right? So he would notice when there was an opportunity to exchange, you know, some conversation, some energy, and then he would reciprocate that, and you know, just a story would unfold. You know, sometimes friends would be made, people to hang out with, and that's how he would just gauge these situations. When he felt like there was someone interesting, or not, he was always willing to probe to see, is this person hiding something, right? Are they secretively really amazing? And do I just need to kind of like knock on the door to open them up a little bit and get to know them? And he would knock, you know, he would knock on those doors, not be afraid to get rejected. So he wasn't picky. He talked to old people, young people, you know, attractive people, less attractive people. He didn't judge based on their physical features. It wasn't like, oh, that's a cool guy, I'm going to talk to him. And that one's not so good looking, I'm not going to talk to her. He was just as excited and positive to meet people that, you know, were in every single type of person, right? So there was this very equal, he would treat people in a very equal manner, never looking up or down on people, which was, I found really, really beautiful. I struggled with that a lot. I was always looking for, oh, who's the cool person to hang out with, because I wanted to be cool. I felt like I wasn't, so I felt like I had to hang out with someone who was cool, or the right person, to make friends with the person that, you know, would make me feel better about myself. You know, this very egocentric frame, because I didn't feel like I was good enough. But he disregarded that. Whether or not he felt like he was good enough, he felt like he could just approach the situation and get to know someone. He looked at people in this humane way, and I think that was just that's a really positive and likable frame to come from. Next one, so yeah, talkative and extroverted. That's also part of that non-judgmental state. So he's not picky. He's very talkative, very extroverted. Next one is spontaneous and funny. I already mentioned a couple situations like that, cracking jokes, all that good stuff, and being lighthearted. Very fearless. So you know all these things that he did. He didn't set these strong, high expectations of how people should see him, how they shouldn't see him. He was just an actor, you know, viewing life as a play and just going about his way, and in this self-amusing kind of way, this curious childlike mindset, this attitude of like, I can't lose, right? And when you have that mindset, opportunities come. Next one was yeah, carefree. So I kind of mentioned that already. In his interactions, he was very carefree. He did things that were spontaneous, that were edgy. He flirted with people, whether or not he was interested in them or not, which was really powerful, which is really cool. Made people feel good. But then they would always be left with this weird situation like, wait, is he really flirting with me? Or is he not? And he would always keep this kind of mystery, right? Where he wasn't afraid to flirt and create a little tension, a little sexual tension, a little push and pull. So that made him even more charismatic, even more likable, because he wasn't afraid to go there. There was this power behind that as a man to just, like, you know, not be afraid to flirt a little bit. Even with older women, he'd, like, you know, flirt a little bit, and that's probably one of the most powerful things ever, you know, with an older woman who feels like she's not beautiful anymore. You remind her, you tell her that she's beautiful, like, you have no idea, like, how much that means to a woman, right? When they feel like they're not beautiful anymore. And this young guy who's like super charming and handsome, and he comes up and he tells you, and he flirts with you. It's super powerful. And yeah, like, that takes courage, you know? You have to have this comfort of self, this comfort within yourself. And that takes, I think that takes a lot to develop. And so for some, it comes naturally, right? For this person, maybe it came naturally because of the way they kind of were raised. And that's just kind of how they grew up. But it doesn't mean it can't be developed. And so I definitely strive to become more like this, because it does make life much better, much more fulfilling, much more enjoyable when people like you, right? It sucks when people don't like you. That's obvious. It's not something that even needs to be said. But anyway, those are my thoughts. Hope you enjoyed the video. Peace out.